so our tuna poke bowl is extremely versatile. This is almost more of an idea of a recipe than it is an actual recipe. But there is one part of it that is a recipe, and that's the dressing that's going to go on top of it. And that's the thing that's going to just kind of pull all of the ingredients in this bowl together. So let's go ahead and do that first. We're going to make our dressing, and we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of seasoned rice vinegar. So really mild vinegar. If you don't have that available, I would say the next best thing would probably be an apple cider vinegar, which would be pretty mild. Okay, then we're going to add a tablespoon of fish sauce. This is pretty widely available here in the US. It's sold in the supermarket where they have all of the foreign foods usually. If you don't have fish sauce available, you can use soy sauce, and that would work just as well. Then the best ingredient, of course, is going to be our Herbal Aloe concentrate. I am using the mango flavor, and this is just going to add a really nice sweetness to our dressing, and but it's light, and it's just like the perfect ingredient to go along with everything else that's in the dressing. I'm using 2 tablespoons of the mango aloe. And then for a little bit of tang, I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of sesame oil. You don't need a lot of sesame oil because it's pretty strong in flavor, but it's really delicious. I love it in this kind of dressing. And then finally, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I think white pepper would work really well in this recipe as well. And then I'm going to use a quarter of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then lastly, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of ginger. If you prefer, and I generally do, to use fresh ginger and fresh garlic, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'm always trying to go for convenience, and in something like a dressing, you know, the powders work just fine. So anyway, all that goes in a jar, and we're just going to shake this up and make a mess on the counter. When you do this, what you're going to see is you're going to get quite a bit of dressing. My jar is leaking everywhere. You're going to get quite a bit of dressing, but this whole jar of dressing only has about 40 calories. And so what that means is that when it comes time to put the dressing on your bowl, you can pretty much use almost as much as you want. Okay, so now that I've made that big mess with my jar, let's go ahead and put our bowl together. You know, the main thing with your poke bowl is to start with rice, and traditionally the bowl is made with like a white sushi rice, but I wanted this to be really pretty and really colorful, and so what I'm using is some black rice. They call it black rice. It's actually kind of a brown or even a purple color. It's a really beautiful rice. It has a lot of the same texture as a brown rice. It's very chewy, and it's kind of nutty in flavor, but I just thought that would be a really pretty base for my bowl. Mine right now is at room temperature, and you can use it warm, you can use it room temperature. I wouldn't recommend doing it cold, but you can if you want to. It's just the rice tends to clump together. And then of course the next most important ingredient is the tuna. I decided to use a tuna that's packed in oil. And I did this because it keeps the tuna really moist. Most of the oil is going to stay in the can, but if you want to use water-packed tuna, you can. What I would recommend though when you do get your tuna is try to get a solid packed tuna, because what that means is you're going to be able to pick out these really beautiful chunks of tuna, which is kind of what we want, so that we can lay that on top. And this is just so pretty to be able to see these big, beautiful pieces of tuna. This is really high quality tuna that I bought actually canned in olive oil, and it does make a really nice addition to the bowl. And you know, even though, as I said, this is traditionally made with raw fish, when you get a really good quality canned tuna, you just can't beat it. It's so good. And you know, to me, the beauty of canned tuna is that it's wild caught, so that means it hasn't been farmed. It means it's eating the things that give it lots and lots of omega-3 fatty acids in its flesh. It's very affordable compared to fresh fish, and of course if you were making this traditionally with raw fish, you have to use it right away. And so the other beauty of that is that you can keep your tuna in the cupboard, and then whenever you feel like making something like this, you can just pull it out. So I used about a half a can. We could have made 2 bowls out of this. And now comes the fun part. So I just decided to kind of go crazy with color because I think that that's one of the things that's really fun about this bowl is there's there's no limit to really what you want to put on top. But I just wanted to add a lot of color to my bowl. So I'm putting a little fruit in, which may seem odd to you, but you know, mango is something that, you know, if you've ever had like a mango salsa, that's really not unusual to make a mango salsa to go with fish, and it really does. It's a nice foil. The sweet kind of goes with the fish, and of course the color is really beautiful. So I wanted to put a little bit of mango in my bowl. And then here I've got some shredded up carrots. I had both red and orange carrots in my refrigerator, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. As I said, there's no limit here, but I just felt like getting super colorful today, and so that's what I did. And this is one of those things that when you're done, you just say, "Oh my goodness, food is so beautiful," and it really is. Some onions, and by the way, you know, one of the other things that's kind of traditional with your poke bowl is to have some kind of a pickle. And I thought about showing you how to make a quick pickle, and then I decided that the dressing itself kind of stands in for that. That, you know, we have quite a bit of dressing here, and it, when you pour it on top, it really gives the sense of a pickle, because remember we have lime juice in there, we have the vinegar that we put in there, that rice vinegar, which is kind of what you'd go in your pickle anyway. So I didn't really feel like we needed to necessarily do that extra step. I'm trying to keep this simple. Okay, then some beautiful green cucumber is going to go in my bowl. Cucumber is really nice because it adds a beautiful crunch, and cucumbers are like 98% water, so these are very hydrating. And you know, as I was doing this today, one of the things I was thinking that would be really fun would be to do this like for a bunch of people as a buffet. Like you could, you know, you could put out your rice and you could put out your tuna, and then you could put all the different toppings and the dressing, and people could just make whatever they wanted, which I think would be really fun. All right, some red peppers. These are sweet, just little sweet red peppers. And then lastly, I'm gonna put, I don't want to bury my tuna because it's so pretty. I'm going to put a little bit of purple cabbage on top. Oh my, that's just so pretty. And then, I'm not going to shake it again because it's going to get everywhere. But as I said, this dressing is very light. There's really no oil in it other than the sesame oil, but I only put in a teaspoon, so it's a little bit. So we can be pretty generous with this. And so we're going to pour that, fair amount of that on top. It's going to soak into the rice. It's going to flavor those vegetables. And then the last thing I wanted to put on top again, just to make it really extra special, is some black sesame seeds. And so there is our bowl. And you know, for serving, obviously it's fine just the way it is. This is often, if you get poke bowls here in the US, oftentimes what they'll serve them with are like wonton, like little fried wonton crisps. And so I decided, I don't know if you watched my video from a couple weeks ago, but I made some high protein crackers with PPP, which also have sesame seeds on them. And I thought, oh, that would be kind of a nice addition to the bowl. So maybe we should do that instead. All right, and then I'm gonna just, because why not? Because we've come this far, I'm gonna put a little bit of cilantro in there for color. Now, it's hard to, I will give you the nutrition information for the bowl as I made it, and obviously depending on how you make it and what you decide to put in it, that's in the amounts, that's going to change. But you know, the calories here, we've got a complete meal because we have our whole grain from our rice, we've got our protein from our fish, we've got our fruits, we've got our vegetables, we've got healthy fats even from the sesame seeds. Something else that you could add to this bowl that would give you some healthy fat would be avocado. And of course, let's not forget all the omega-3s that we're getting from the tuna itself and the fact that it's packed in olive oil. So there you have it. Just a really, really wonderful dish. And when you go to eat it, what's also nice about this is that you just get, every bite's a little bit different. You know, like the first bite, you might get a little tuna and a little bit of rice like I'm getting, and maybe a little bit of onion, and let's just taste it. Really, the dressing is so perfect for this because it's really light. It does give you the sense, in a way, of eating sushi because sushi uses that seasoned vinegar for the rice often. So you're getting that nice kind of sweet and a little tangy flavor from the dressing. And then of course we've got all these wonderful flavors from the vegetables and from the mango, and super light, super refreshing, really, really easy. So give it a try. Let me know how you like it. Let me know what you put in your tuna poke bowl. And don't go away because I'm going to be right back. I'm going to tell you about all the goodness that's in there, all the nutrition that's in our tuna poke bowl.